I think the young parents of America and the young adults of America are very concerned about our country's future, and for good reason. I think this generation might just be the first generation that is looking at a future that is less prosperous than the previous generation. That's never happened before. And that is a very disconcerting idea. And no wonder so many of our younger Americans are concerned about the direction our country is going. When you look at our jobs, the young people are going out right now, they're looking for the job market, whether they're college graduates or high school graduates, whether it's a white collar or blue collar, it doesn't matter. They're looking at the job market in this country, and they are not liking what they are seeing, and for good reason. Our unemployment is skyrocketing. People are filing bankruptcies at a record pace. Everyone says we're in a recession, and now then everybody is speculating with the great question, are we headed for a depression? The word nobody wants to use. But the signs on the horizon are not good. And the reason they're not good is because the two major parties, neither one of them are interested in doing the things that are required constitutionally in order to bring our country back on track. They're much more concerned about appeasing the special interest groups and other organizations that do not have the best interests of the United States or the people in mind. So with that in mind, for example, I worked at General Motors Truck and Coach Plant 5 from 1971 to 1973 on the assembly line. When I was there, the shifts were working 3 shifts a day, 24/7, putting out those fine American-made products. Well, I went back 35 years later. The plant I used to work at has been torn to the ground, doesn't even exist. Most of the other plants that I remember are gone. The ones that are still there are abandoned. They're dilapidated, run down. There are parts of Detroit that look like a war zone, literally. There are parts of Detroit that look like a third world country. The economy there has collapsed to a degree that I just could not imagine without seeing it firsthand. And what has caused this is both the Democrats and the Republicans have sold the American worker to foreign interests through the passage of first NAFTA in 1994, and then later CAFTA and GATT and WTO and all these quote-unquote free trade deals, which have done nothing except remove the American worker from his job. The plants are no longer there because they're in China, they're in Mexico, they're in India. And if you don't have the manufacturing plants, you don't have the workforce to go along with them. So they've all been decimated. And instead of backing up and saying, you know what, we made a mistake with NAFTA, we should never have done that, John McCain is down in Colombia trying to negotiate a free trade deal with Colombia. What does Barack Obama say? Well, he wants to revamp NAFTA. He doesn't tell us what in the world that means. He just says, I want to revamp it. Well, here you got John McCain wants to expand it, and Barack Obama wants to revamp it. Well, when I'm President of the United States, I'm going to do neither. I'm going to eliminate it. And we're just going to get rid of it. And the FTAA is DOA when I become president. The NAFTA superhighway, which they're now trying to construct from Mexico into the United States to connect all the way up to Canada, to bypass the American ports in Long Beach, California, and Los Angeles, to bypass the union workers in those places and to bring them into these cheap Chinese goods to Mexican ports, put them on Mexican trucks with Mexican drivers, and take them right up into the United States freely and without any process. This is absolutely devastating to our workforce, to our economy. We cannot sustain that kind of quote-unquote global economy. What's happened is we're so worried. When I say we, I mean the leaders of the two parties seem to be more concerned about the global economy than they are the American economy. And it's time that we start putting America first. And the way to do that is to get rid of NAFTA, get rid of CAFTA, get rid of the FTAA and the WTO and GATT and all these things that are tearing our job market apart. And I want to bring a future to the young American workers that are going out there, whatever field, where they can know that in these United States of America, they're going to have job opportunity. The Department of Education, of course, is a monstrosity that was created back during Jimmy Carter's administration as a payoff to the teachers union for their support. Literally, that's how it was created. Of course, just recently, under President Bush, who collaborated with Ted Kennedy, they put together the No Child Left Behind Act, which gave the Department of Education more power and more authority over education than had ever been known before in this country. It is a mandate upon education at the federal level, and what happens is the local and state control over education has almost disappeared. In the Constitution, the 10th Amendment says that anything that's not specifically enumerated in the Constitution is reserved for the states and the people, respectively. And you will not find anything in the Constitution regarding education. So plainly, that is the responsibility of the states and the local communities. Again, the Department of Education is one of those departments that when I become president will no longer exist, because we're going to eliminate it. We're going to put education back where it belongs, back with the states and the local communities. We will trust the states and the parents and the communities to educate their children in a way that they see best. And that is the way that the Founding Fathers intended education be run in this country. And that's the way we'll do it when I become president. Basically, we'll get education out of the hands of the federal bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., and we'll put it back in the hands of the parents and the local communities. If the federal intrusion into education were working as they promised it would work, then why are we slipping every year, it seems, further and further down the competence level? When you compare our test scores to the other industrialized nations of the world, we're lucky now if we're in the top 20. You know, we used to be number one in all discernible areas of academic achievement. Now then we find ourselves at the bottom of the barrel looking up the ladder at the other nations that are doing a far superior job to us. Now, if federal dollars was the answer, if federal involvement was the answer, then this would not be happening. This dumbing down would not be occurring, and the falling behind in education would not be happening. The fact that it is happening is a testament to the reality of the situation, which is the more the federal government gets involved in education, the worse education becomes.